by the way, I'm Rosie and I'm going to be giving a presentation about rhinoceros. I hope you enjoy. Rhinoceros is a large herbivore. There are 5 species and 11 subspecies. The main 2 species that will be focused on in this video are the white rhino and the black rhino. Question 1. Can rhinos be domesticated? Edward Price defined domestication as the process by which a population of animals becomes adapted to man and to the captive environment by some combination of genetic changes occurring over generations. It is important to keep in mind that domestication does not simply mean being able to keep an animal in captivity. There are certain criteria that an animal needs to meet to be able to be considered domesticated. This table outlines those criteria. The animal needs to be able to live in groups. With rhinos, they are usually solitary animals. However, there are cases of white rhinos living in herds of up to 15, made up of mostly mothers and calves. Aggression is an important criteria to be met in domestication, and unfortunately rhinos do not meet it. They are quite an aggressive species as they are very territorial. Rhinos are quite sensitive to environmental changes and will only survive in specific habitats. One criteria that the rhino does meet is sexual promiscuousness. Rhinos do not mate with one other rhino for life, which makes it easier to domesticate them. Rhinos are very maternal, and their young will live with them until they are 2 to 4 years of age. This does not meet criteria number 5. Rhinos are fairly generalist feeders, eating mostly short grasses and shrubs. The final piece of criteria is that the animal being domesticated can be bred easily. As rhinos only have 1 calf every 2 to 5 years on average, this does not fit the criteria as it is such a long process. So from looking at the evidence provided, although rhinos meet 2 of the 7 suggested criteria for domestication, it is simply not possible for them to be domesticated with their aggression, habitat sensitivity, and breeding habits. Question 2 is broken into 3 parts. Part 1, are rhinos conscious? This is a challenging question to answer. Currently, the thought of an animal being conscious is beyond the limits of scientific inquiry. Many different opinions are held about the topic. The term consciousness was developed to explain why we as humans have thoughts and sensations. Awareness is the key criteria to consciousness. There are 3 levels: awareness of the world, awareness of others, and awareness of self. We as humans have all 3 levels of awareness. Rhinos, on the other hand, have been found to have awareness of the world around them, being able to identify predators as their attention narrows to a threat. They can also recognize other rhinos, especially in their family, but it is yet to be proven that rhinos are self-aware. An interesting point was raised in the video Are Animals Conscious?, explaining that all mammals have the same pathways leading to the brain, which releases the same chemicals as it does in humans, which means that animals on some levels are conscious of pain. If we do not believe that animals were able to be conscious of pain, then why would we use anesthetic and painkillers when operating on them and treating them for illnesses? As it stands, there is no real proof that animals are conscious, but I believe that on some level rhinos show signs of consciousness. Part 2 of the question is, are rhinos intelligent? Intelligence requires a greater mental power than just learning. It is also more than just trial and error. There has not been many studies completed on rhinos' level of intelligence, but one study did find that rhinos can be taught in the same manner we teach our dogs, with reward and punishment. This does not show intelligence, but shows that the foundations are there to be built on. Part 3 of the question is, do rhinos have emotion? As rhinos are such a threatened species, there are few studies completed on them at all. They have, however, been linked closely to the elephants in terms of their displays of emotion. They show joy, especially among family members, love, maternally, and grief. When a family member dies, often the group close will give much grievance, much like humans do. Rage, when being attacked or under threat. I believe that rhinos do show emotions, particularly with the connection between the mother and calf. But so much is still unknown about these creatures and may never be known. Question 3. What interactions do rhinos have with humans? Unfortunately, for the past 100 years, rhinos' relationships with humans has not been pleasant. This is at no fault to the rhino, but because humans see them as an animal where profits are made. At the start of the 20th century, there were over 500,000 rhinos in the wild. There are now less than 25,000 left today, with all 5 species either threatened or endangered. Humans have had quite a negative interaction with rhinos, poaching them for their horns, which can grow up to 1.5 meters in length. Rhino horns are made from keratin, the same thing our hair and fingernails are made from. The animal is either killed and then has their horn removed, or is sedated and poachers remove the horn, leaving the animal to die. On average, a rhino horn is worth in excess of $65,000 per kilo, making it more expensive than gold or cocaine. It is used in many Chinese medicines and in some countries is believed to cure cancer. The horns that aren't used for medicinal purposes are kept as trophies by the poachers. The saddest part about this is that if removed properly, the rhino horn will grow back and the rhino could survive. It is a terrible thing to do to take their horn, but if people insist on doing so, then this method should be considered. Fortunately, people have begun to realize the intrinsic value of the creatures over the dollar value, and conservation groups worldwide are protecting and repopulating the rhinoceros, as well as educating people on the consequences of poaching and habitat loss. Hopefully one day there will be many hundreds of thousands of rhinos in the wild again. Thank you for listening to my presentation.